supposed to be an understanding of unity amongst people. Like, hey, if we really just, like she said, if we are ready to have those conversations, realizing that we're not always going to get everything we want, and we go into it like that, ready to really hear each other, it's a different experience. You find out, oh, you actually do care about a lot of things I care about. We just differ here and differ there, and you might not want Halle Berry to play Storm, and I might. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Quanisha.
But we both gonna see the movie. I'm still going to the movie.
That's the thing about it. We still gonna see it.
Still gonna go, right.
I wanted to ask you about Candace Owens. So I was watching last night. I brought her up on the last show. I just found out who she was like a few days ago, like Thursday.
Who are you talking about now?
Yo, Candace Owens is like.
You don't know who she is either, Quanisha?
No, who's that?
Okay. So I guess I'm gonna ask somebody else's question. Who has a pretty? I want to ask Ayana or Steve. Galen. I want to ask somebody black.
I don't know. I don't know her.
You know who she is, Stevie? You know who she is.
Look, I know who she is, but I don't know who she is. I just saw what everybody else saw on social media. I heard what she was saying, and that's about it.
You have opinions about her?
Oh, I have tons of opinions about this chick right here.
I don't know who this is.
The reason I bring her up is because
let me look her up.
When I first was introduced to her, it was through like this idea of she needs to be canceled. You know what I'm saying? Basically, she's a black conservative woman who some people feel like is just like paid by the Republican Party to look like a coon and a gaslighter. And with that in mind, I watched last night this open forum that they had. And because my issue with her was that the videos I saw, the stuff she was saying wasn't really not true. It was just that she was saying it to a room full of white people. So I was just like, if you're really she's like, oh, I care about the black community. And I feel like y'all are being hypnotized by the Democratic Party. And they're always, basically they count on your votes because they know they have them. And they don't even really care about us, kind of sort of thing. And I think that's accurate, personally. But she was saying it to a room full of white people. So it had no basis because it was like, you're saying this to the wrong people. But last night, she actually was in the room with T.I. and Big Mike, the Killer Mike, and what's the girl's name? I want to say her name correctly. Tamika Mallory, and there were some other people there. I don't remember their names. I'm sorry, but it was really interesting watching her in that space because that's when you really see someone them. Because when she was getting attacked from all angles, she defended herself so vehemently. It made me think, oh, she believes this shit. She's not like brainwashed. She believes it, which to me is a good thing. At least if you're gonna be don't be out of the box just because it's controversial. You know what I'm saying? Like at least let it be your convictions, and that's what. If you're gonna really fight for it, I really applaud her. A lot of the stuff she said was true. Period. And it's just kind of what you were talking about cancel culture. People just didn't want to hear it coming from her. And Killer Mike said that. He basically, because she did this long diatribe about why is no one talking about the absence of black fathers in the home? Why is no one talking about school? I'm not okay. But anyway, she listed it, right? And then after she listed it, Killer Mike, like this dude was in the back in the audience just going in on her. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but finally T.I. and Killer Mike said, look, this is still a sister, okay? And you're gonna give her respect because everything she just said was true. Y'all just don't want to hear it because it's coming from her. But if I said it, you would. I feel like that's a thing about cancel culture that we have to be aware of too. That plays a part in it. It's like, oh, I'm not really denying what you're saying. I'm just denying it because you're saying
it. There's several aspects to that I'm gonna dig into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One, you can say a thing and not say the full context and sentence of it, and that makes the thing you say true. Here's my example. I saw a post on Facebook where a Black woman she was basically getting to the point of COVID and everything that's happening in this country is a conspiracy theory. And all of y'all that were yelling at me and saying that I should believe in all this and take precautions, now you see. The quote she used was, on May 6th, Mario Cuomo said 66% of the new cases in New York were from those who had stayed at home. And I was like, that sounds true, but there's something about it I don't like. So I reached out to a friend of mine. 66% of the new cases on May 6th in New York of people that had COVID had developed COVID and were hospitalized from it were from people who had been obeying the stay-at-home order.
Really?
Right. So I was like, huh. So I checked with a couple of like my scientist friends, because data, which I don't like, because statistics can be spun in a particular way. I said, does this sound true? Immediately, my friend who's a public health PhD said, technically it is true, but when you think about it, we started our stay-at-home order on March 13th. So of course, it looks like a higher number of people who are staying at home and quarantining having it. But the way that's spun is, because you stayed at home, it didn't make any difference anyway. That's not true. That's not the full truth. Candace Owens is excellent at not giving you the full context of what she's saying. The truth is that, like, if you mention that Black fathers supposedly are not in the home, the reality is a report was done in the last 5 years that said when it came to us, they did a survey of Black fathers, how much time they spend diapering, how much time they spend at school conferences, how much time they spend cooking and cleaning in the home. The statistics are that Black men are doing just as much as everybody else. But we keep this narrative up that Black men are not in the home. No, they're not necessarily in the home the way that we think traditional suburban fathers should be in the home. But I work with low-income tenants who don't have the fathers on the lease. They're not married to the dads, but these dads are they're walking their kids to school every day because it's a crime-ridden neighborhood. These dads are showing up. So I dispute those statistics. But because of the people who are putting out the studies, because of the way the questions are asked, it looks a particular kind of way. And really, the public should not have to be statisticians, whatever the data people, to unravel all this. But when you send a stream of facts and figures at people, they want to believe you without delving deeper. And she has this way of putting out a little bit to support her viewpoint, but it's not necessarily the full truth. And you'll have people in the back of the audience whose gut instinct is to say, that's some bullshit. That's not true because of what I see. But we don't have enough people looking at what the stats are. Now, I will say her whole delivery irks my last friggin' nerves. She gets up there with her little self-righteous, and you don't want it. Ma'am, you irritate me. Go away. I that is my visceral reaction to her. Just like them two chicks who supported Trump with the badass weaves. Ma'am, your whole thing rocks my world. I don't even want to hear what you have to say. Go away. Go sit down somewhere. Just go. Now,
right, but that statement in and of itself goes against what you were just saying like 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's the thing about it, though. Like, I get what you're saying about the context thing. First of all, I think everybody does that.
everybody, 100%, left, right, center, everyone.
Yeah, that's literally why that's why the word diplomacy exists. But I think there's a difference between doing it all the time intentionally and doing it sometimes. And I guess I'm watching her last night. And like I said, I'm really still new to her. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff out there that has given people. And when I was watching it, and this might be controversial for me to say, I think when I was watching the two of them interact between her and T.I., who I really agree with a lot of stuff T.I. says. But in that circumstance, I didn't like it because he was definitely bullying her. He knew
T.I. bullies a lot of people.
He knew he was in a room that was against her. He knew he was in that room. He knew where he was. And he used that to humiliate her, to further make his points seem valid, instead of just doing what her and Killer Mike were doing, stating facts. You know what I'm saying? Because T.I. does that sometimes. T.I. absolutely does state facts. But in that circumstance, he went to, and she basically called him out on it. She said, you keep doing these gotcha moments, but that's not cool because that doesn't prove anything. Like, I'm still spitting facts. So, and then that's how I feel cancel, see, Brown? That's how I feel about cancel culture. It's gotchas. It's not helping. It's just, okay, now you're embarrassed. Now you're humiliated.
There's performative. Like, I can sit here and say that I've identified my biases against Candace Owens. The next step, though, is to then look at the facts. Like, because that person on Facebook was saying something that didn't sit right with me, instead of immediately firing off a response, I went to someone that I knew had more information than me. We don't take that next step. There are a lot of people, because there are a lot of people we have a visceral response to. You don't have to, yes, if you're trying to be a critical thinker, you should examine why you have that visceral response to that person. And you should dig into that. And you should actively try to counter that. But that doesn't stop the fact that I have a visceral response to, I can't deny my visceral response. With cancel culture, right? Like, so I was on board with R. Kelly once I learned that I was on board with canceling him personally, right? Like, I don't listen to his stuff. I'm not buying it, even though I may think he's a good artist, but that's a personal decision that I make. Then I learned that people all over Chicago knew about him. And I was like, oh, something else happened here. There was a perception that we allowed because of our visceral response to him that we should not have allowed. We should have delved deeper. You a good musician. You a pedophile. We got to make a choice here. I love your music. 90s, high school, all day, R. Kelly, you remind me of my whatever. I was all in. And I still like that song, but I'm making a conscious decision not to support that because I don't like the other side of that. That goes against my initial visceral response to him. After examination, Candace Owens, I don't like how she operates because I think she takes advantage of the lack of information and the lack of critical thinking skills that people have. I'm gonna have to look up that debate because I love Killer.
Right. What was that on?
Debate. Everybody was well informed. Every single person, even though they had different point of views, were solid in their information. It was and what was beautiful about it was that instead of really I don't think they brought her, and there was another girl who was conservative. I don't think they brought them there to be humiliated. I think some of them tried to do that, but it seemed like they were really trying to say, like, what can we as a community get done? Because you keep saying you're about the Black community. The fact that she showed up to it, to me, is a big, because I think she knew what she was walking into. If someone else wants to say something, because
Yeah, so I love Candace Owens. I think she's great. I do agree though with what you were saying that she presents facts, but that's all they are facts, and like I think that's on user responsibility to go and look at those facts and find out more information. One of her favorite facts is that last year in 2019, according to the Washington Post, which is a far-leaning a left newspaper, there were only 8 unarmed Black men that were shot by police. And that is that I've assumed that to be true, but there's a few loopholes there, right? It's shot by police, and then
you're saying as opposed to killed by police,
right, like in Minneapolis he wasn't shot, so like that leaves out stuff. But then further, like even if that is true, like then you look at, okay, are they disproportionately shot by police? And yes, they are. Like that's obvious. The numbers speak to that as well. But even
this is the second time on the show you said disproportionately, and what I want to do is for anyone who doesn't know what that means, granted they can look it up, but when you say disproportionately, and I'm gonna just say this. So when people talk about those statistics where more white people, and we're not gonna stay on this too long because this wasn't supposed to be the topic. When people talk about how more white people are shot every year by the police than Black people and Hispanics, but they don't consider Black people make up 13% of the entire population. So their ratio of how many of Black people are in this country to how many people are shot by the police is way bigger than the ratio of how many white people there are in the country, how many white people are shot by the police. But I